Not a single GOP lawmaker voted in favor of the coronavirus relief package, not a single one. But that hasn't stopped them from trying to take credit for it, meaning that they're looking to take credit and get some cookies. But you know what I feel about that. No cookies for you, I'm sorry. The Associated Press has found multiple examples of Republican lawmakers going back to their own states to tout their accomplishments with the coronavirus relief package. But again, not a single one of them voted in favor of it. The AP writes that since the early spring votes, Republicans from New York and Indiana to Texas and Washington state have promoted elements of the legislation they fought to defeat. So there's a reason why you would do that. You would do that if the legislation you fought to defeat is actually wildly popular with your own constituents, and that certainly is the case. In fact, 2 in 3 voters have consistently supported the $1.9 trillion package in recent polling, while individual elements such as the $1,400 direct payments to individuals are even more popular. And so here are some specifics of GOP lawmakers trying to take credit for something they deserve zero credit for. GOP lawmakers have been especially bullish about promoting the rescue plan's Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which devoted $28.6 billion to the struggling industry. Specific people include House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. He topped the group of at least 8 Republicans who have encouraged constituents to apply in recent days. The others included Senator Roger Wicker, Representatives Elise Stefanik, Greg Pence, Jamie Herrera Butler, still unsure how you say her name, Beth Van Doon. You also have Troy Balderson and Anthony Gonzalez. All of these Republicans taking credit for something that they worked very, very hard to defeat. They get no cookies.
Okay, so there's so many quotes, but let me go to Representative Alex Mooney, Republican of West Virginia. He wants to brag about the $41 million that were given to 12 healthcare centers in his district. Well, I mean, that's a good thing to brag about. That's a lot of money, and they really needed it, so that's why he wants to take credit for it. And he said, quote, "I am glad that this funding has been secured."
Are you?
He voted against it. So here's how you could have shown that you were glad that that funding was going to be secured: by voting for it. That would show you were glad. I vote yes, and I get it. Oh, I'm so glad my district got it. My voters got it. Now the way to not do that is to vote no. Like, I don't want him to get it. I don't want him to get it. And then turn around and pretend like you were in favor of it after it passes and goes, "I'm so glad it got secured. Thank God all the Democrats voted yes and defeated us. If it wasn't for the Democrats, you wouldn't have gotten it. And so, congrats. I mean, you voted for me. That was a really dumb idea, right? I mean, I voted no. I didn't want you to get it, but thank God for the Democrats." Oh, he didn't mention that last part. Interesting. See, look, guys, if you watch the Young Turks regularly, you know I beat up on the mainstream press all the time for very good reason. But on this issue, they've actually done a pretty good job because it's an easy gotcha. But still, hey, credit where credit is due. So they're going around busting all these guys. And by the way, 4 or 5 years ago, they wouldn't have done this.
No, they would have both sidesed it.
100%.
And they're not in this case, and I'm happy to see it because again, they deserve zero credit. If they had their way, there would have been nothing in the coronavirus relief package. There might have been maybe $500 billion in spending, the vast majority of which would go to businesses, and then you guys could F off. That's usually what you see from Republicans, and we'd be lucky if we even got that. So I love the fact that we're getting the truth in the reporting in regard to who actually fought for and accomplished that relief package, and it was not the Republican Party.
All right, and I like the White House spokesperson here, Andrew Bates, with a nice snarky message too. He said, "It's heartening to see Republicans in Congress reaching across the aisle to endorse it, even retroactively."
I know, it's
good. So I like that kind of salt. But in your neck of the woods, this is an easy one because you don't have to keep track of which congressperson voted for it or against it. If your congressperson is a Republican, they voted against it. Every single one. That's not hyperbole, it's literal. So if you voted for a Republican, they wanted to make sure you did not get that $1,400 check. Those healthcare centers didn't get their money, that you got no relief, none, right? Anything else is just political correctness. You can check it 1,000 different ways. That is a stone cold fact. They all voted no, and since it's popular, now they're all bragging as if they voted yes. And yes, that means they're all liars.
Now, I think an important part of the story, though, is what are Democrats doing to counter this messaging? Because remember, politics, it's not just carrots and sticks. It's also about messaging and ensuring that voters are fully aware, fully knowledgeable about who actually accomplished things that benefited people's lives, that materially improve people's lives. And I'm happy to see that Democrats are engaging in this messaging war. For instance, a DNC spokesperson said this: between now and next year's midterm elections, we're going to make sure every voter remembers how Republicans tried to stand in the way of this economic boom and our return to normalcy. That's really important. And you can count on Democrats to call Republicans out for their hypocrisy when they try to tout the same programs they voted against. And they've put some action behind those words already. For instance, the Democratic National Committee has already launched digital takeovers of local news websites in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Nevada, New Hampshire, Florida, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania to thank Democrats and highlight the Republican obstruction. The White House's political arm has also put up billboards in 20 states calling out Republicans and focused on the Republican opposition. So they do need to engage in a very aggressive messaging battle here, because if they don't, you know that the Republican Party is shameless. They will absolutely try to take credit for the very legislation that they fought so aggressively against. And so the other positive thing, and I hope that the Democratic Party keeps moving in this direction, is that it appears that they're aware of how popular these types of policies are. Policies that put money in the pockets of ordinary Americans, American workers, people who have largely been neglected by the Democratic Party in recent decades. These are policies that poll really well. So if they want a shot at maintaining power in the midterm elections and obviously in the next general election, this is the direction they need to go in, and they should be bolder and propose more.
Yeah, last funny quote from the Republicans. Representative Nicole Malliotakis is a Republican of New York. The New York Republicans generally tend to pretend to be moderate Republicans. There is no such thing. They all vote no on every bill. They all vote with Trump, but back when he was president, over 90% of the time, they're all massive right-wing Republicans. And in this case, of course, she voted no. None of the Republicans voted yes on this, but it's really popular in her district. So she says, these grants were among the 9% of funds dedicated to COVID-19 relief that I was always in support of. No, Nicole, there was one time you were not in support of it, the day you were voting. See, the way you show support is you vote yes, and then you say, hey, I brought this to you. When you vote no, I don't want my voters to get this. No, no, no. And then turn around, I was always in support of it. You know what that makes you? A liar. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.